Hello, my name is Nuno and welcome to Meeples and Mysteries. Today we are reviewing MintWorks. So what is MintWorks? Officially, MintWorks is a portable introduction to worker placement, and it's a game about building a mint manufacturing plant. So to what genre and mechanisms does this game mainly fit into? So this is basically a micro game, which means it's a really small footprint game, really portable. It's just a small box, you can fit it in your pocket, and I wouldn't say it's the smallest footprint on the table, but it's a pretty small footprint. Here I don't actually have the normal setup. Like the normal setup would be something like this, and of course these are the rules. So for 2 people or solo, this is a game you can play on almost any table. What is this game actually? So this game is not really about building a mint manufacturing plant. What you are actually doing in this game is you're building a neighborhood. And the neighborhood can have several types of buildings that can go from manufacturing plants to cultural buildings to residential buildings. And basically you're only doing 2 things in this worker placement game. You're either using worker placement for getting more workers, or you're using worker placement to get plants and then build those buildings. And ultimately, those buildings are going to give you points. The game is over when someone is able to do 7 points or above. At that point, the game ends and whoever has most points wins, with some tie conditions. But basically, just that. You're either getting workers, or getting buildings, or building the buildings. And then the buildings are all pretty straightforward. They either give you more workers, they either give you points, or they either give you combos with other buildings in terms of points. So, who is this game for? This game is either for 2 people. Either you want a light intro into worker placement, a game, for example, you can take into your work or into a coffee shop with a friend, and casually introduce them to board gaming or casually introduce them to worker placement games. And I think it's a really good game for that. It comes in a tin box that looks good. Most people I would say are just going to be curious about the game. They will think the game is cute and they will want to try it out. So it's a really good game for that situation. The second situation where this game actually makes sense for you is that if you're either traveling and you want something that fits anywhere, that you don't need space for, and that you can play quickly anywhere, or, for example, as is my case right now that I can't really travel because of health conditions, it's a game, for example, I can play in the bed or in the sofa. So if this doesn't happen a lot, but if I'm feeling really lazy and I don't want to leave my bed and me and my wife want to have some casual competition, this is a game we can easily play on the bed. It's not super easy to play on the bed, for example, but if you just use a book below it, you can easily play it. Now, about player count. This game plays 1 to 4 people. And I'm going to say it right now, I only play this game solo and at 2 players. So I have not played at 3 or 4 players. Still, I wouldn't say this is such a complex game that I cannot, after playing at this player count, that I cannot foresee how it plays at 3 or 4. Take it with a grain of salt, but I really think this game at 3 and 4 players is not going to be much different than at 2 and 1. It will take just a bit longer, but it will be more or less the same experience, and that's actually something good. So how long does this game play for? This game plays around 15 minutes. If you're really in tune with the game, if you really know it well or the people know it well, it's a really fast game. If people are new to this game and you're teaching this game, it will be a bit longer, but it's still a pretty fast game. You will be playing this under 30 minutes, no problem. So, what is the good thing about this game? As I said, the portability and the fact that you can play it anywhere, and the fact that you can teach it to anybody and maybe even get people into the hobby or people into at least worker placement games. And they can get curious, and maybe later you can convince them to introduce them to a proper worker placement game. That's the good thing about this game. Now, what are the bad things about this game? Some of them are the same as the good things. This is not a super incredible game. If you're going to get this game to get a good worker placement game, in my personal opinion, this is not it. My rating would be completely different if this was a big box game or a normal sized box game. I would rate this game really low. And more on that later, but just so you know that. Another bad thing, the components are average quality. I mean, they are not bad quality, they are good quality. But personally, I think that for such a small game, the cards should be thicker, or they should just be cardboard. I think they could still make the game really portable, and if the game was cardboard, it would play a lot better. And why do I say this? This is just nitpicking, but every time you're taking your mint workers and putting them on the game, the cards are going to move around. If you're someone that really likes to have their games organized on the table, it kind of is a bit maddening that everything is always moving, and that all the pieces are so small that you're always going to keep knocking them over. This is basically the same problem as most tiny epic games. Unless you need to have them being portable, if you're not going to play those games as portable games, if you just want to play them at home in a big table, there's really nothing good about them being so small. If they were bigger, they would be easier to pick, easier to see, and everything wouldn't just be falling apart all the time. Still, this doesn't really impact the game that much. It's just nitpicking on my part. More bad things about the game, and again, this doesn't impact the game greatly, but when you're playing this game solo, the advanced locations don't really make sense. Most of them would need the AIs to have a priority on how to use them. And some of them, if you just try and have the AI use them, they will outright just lose the game without any difficulty. The solo rules actually tell you to optionally add the advanced locations, but then they don't tell you anything else on how they work solo. So this is really super bad for the game, but having something that doesn't make sense when they could just write in the rules like the AI bots don't use the advanced locations. Something simple like that would just make everything clear. For such a small game, with just such a small rule book, I think they really failed here. There's no reason for this not to be better explained and made. Another bad thing, although it's to be expected in such a game, this is not a game you will probably want to replay endlessly. It's a game that feels pretty samey. Even, for example, in the solo experience, all the first turns, they always feel exactly the same. You already know the AI is just going to go through these in the same order, always. And there's 4 AIs for you in solo, so there's a bit of variability, and they actually are kind of smart in the way they are implemented, but the game still feels really samey. It's not a game you're going to keep playing over and over again. I just ran a series of playthroughs of this game where I played 4 games really close, some of them on the same day. It's not a bad experience, but it's not something I really want to repeat so soon. This is probably a game I will only ever play again if, as I said, I'm lazy and I want to stay in bed and play something. And even in that situation, it's probably that I just get my tablet and play an app version of a better game. Still, there is a place for this game, and that place is, as I said, portability and introducing people. That's mainly why I'm keeping this game. It's for introducing friends and co-workers to board gaming. Now, on to the end. Let's talk about my score. I give this game a 7. And on BGG, this game is currently rated at 6.9. So my rating is pretty in tune with the average rating of this game. And I think that's something you should know. In case it was different, especially, I would have to tell you that, so you don't get convinced by me and then end up hating the game just because it's something really personal. And going back to what I said before, if this was a normal sized box, or even not a micro game, even if the box was small but not a micro game, I would rate this a 5. It's not a super bad game, it's not actually a bad game, but there's a lot of better games. And considering that, I can't really give this a 6 in that situation, I would give it a 5. So it just slightly missed the mark about being a good game, especially because there's a lot of better options. But being a micro game, being in a niche that I only know this game that is a micro worker placement game that's actually good, so I will give this a 7, and that's my rating. Now, just for ending this review, let's do something fun and maybe look at some of the extreme reviews from BGG and maybe comment them or criticize them. This is all done in fun, so I'm not really going to point any names, and if I say something that doesn't seem that nice, remember, we're just having fun here. This is not serious at all. So if we look at the people that gave this game a 1, this doesn't make sense. Not even Monopoly deserves a 1. Most people should be more serious about rating. And yeah, I'm going off topic here, but I actually think that there should be some kind of test and some kind of AI looking into people's ratings. And if people can't rate games, they just shouldn't rate games. One user gives this game a 1.1 because it's a small game, and that's all. And then 1.1. Yeah, I guess 1.0 was too low, but 1.1 just give that little bit of edge. Come on, man. Another one gives it a 1 because it's a simplistic game without much depth. And then there's a ton of 1s because people were angry at this game not being delivered on time in the Kickstarter. I guess people still need to learn that Kickstarter and GameFound things are not supposed to be delivered on time. Sometimes they are, and that's like exceptional situations. They are developing a game. It's really hard to predict everything. One thing is having a game in retail with a date set, and you should absolutely expect games to be on time. But when there's development and nothing is really certain, it's part of the development, and people just don't seem to understand what Kickstarter actually is. So now if we go to the opposite and we go to the reviews that give this game a 10, they are basically all good reviews, good common sense reviews. They say this game is simple, is short, is a good introduction to non-board gamers. So it's all pretty much common sense, although giving it a 10. The comments are common sense, but the ratings of 10, no, this game is not a 10 at all. I mean, I can see it since maybe it's the only worker placement in this niche. Maybe it is, I don't know, maybe it is. So that could make some sense, I can see it, but... And then there's specifically one user that says that this game is the only game that he ever cared enough to even log plays. He just loves the game. Come on, man, what are you doing? This game opened your mind. This is like the best game you ever played in your life that you actually cared for. Come on, man. You either have a really specific taste or you really haven't played enough games. Or maybe you're just a mint lover and this game just falls into your whole lore and thing. But yeah, nothing too much to talk about, so I guess we're going to end this review here. So I hope this is my second review. I hope this is a big improvement from my last review. I really try to structure things a lot and maybe mention what I'm actually mentioning in the video and have a structure to it and have an explanation so you know what's actually happening. Thank you for watching the video. Please like, comment and subscribe, especially the comments. I really need the feedback. I haven't gotten any feedback yet, and give me feedback, criticize me, tell me what I need to get better, tell me what I got wrong, tell me what's wrong with anything. And if you want to talk about this game, let's talk about this game. I love talking about games, so please comment and see you on the next one.